friends, and welcome to Monsters Among Us, where any creature a little less than human is always welcome, including you filthy animal. Today we'll provide some much-needed nightmare fuel for you insomniacs out there who like creepypasta and internet lore, and for you crotchety people out there like me who find children unsettling and a little creepy. So prepare yourself to come face to face with children from the deepest reaches of your nightmares, the black-eyed children. Now, if you're well-versed in internet lore, you might know to be aware to stay away from children with black eyes. But on a summer evening in 1996, writer Brian Bethel could have never imagined the events that were about to unfold. For Brian, all seemed normal that evening. He was running errands after dark and was writing a check in the parking lot of his bank by the light of the next-door theater's marquee. He felt completely at ease, until he noticed two young boys wearing black hooded pullovers approaching his car. They walked to his driver's side window and knocked, eyes cast downward the entire time. Bethel estimated them to be between 9 and 12 years old, and assumed they were going to ask him for money. However, when he rolled down his window just a tad, he began to feel uneasy. One of the boys asked Bethel if he could give them a ride home. The child explained that they wanted to see Mortal Kombat, but that they'd left their money at their mother's house and needed a ride, and it would only take a minute. As the boy told his story, though, Bethel's fear grew into a soul-racking terror, though the logical part of his mind couldn't say why. They were just children. They appeared to have no weapons, and it would only take a minute. From the theater marquee, Bethel could see that the last showing of Mortal Kombat had already started. Still, what could it hurt? They were only children. Couldn't he just give them a quick ride? He felt himself enter a peaceful trance as he gazed at the boys, who were now looking at him with peculiar, dark eyes. He felt his arm moving of its own will, and when his hand closed around the door of the car, he looked down at it, breaking eye contact with the boys. Like hitting a wall, the hypnotic trance and the urge to open the door snapped, and he was overwhelmed with a crushing fear. He jerked his hand back violently, and finally comprehended what he was seeing. Two young boys with black eyes. Primal, instinctual fear took over, and Brian began making excuses, saying he was busy as he threw the car into reverse. The boys' demeanor changed immediately. They grew angry and insistent and began pounding at his door, yelling, "We can't come in unless you say it's okay. Let us in!" Bethel reversed and peeled out of the parking lot, and just a few seconds later, looked in the rear view to see the empty, vacant lot of the theater. Though the boys were gone, they would never leave his nightmares. Bethel later wrote his experiences into a short story to have some sort of cathartic release. He sent the story to several of his friends on an email list, and from there it spread further and further into the vast reaches of the internet. Brian Bethel soon found that while he may have been the first to document his encounter with the black-eyed children, he certainly wasn't the only one to cross their path. The black-eyed children, truly a nightmare come to life, and it's obvious to identify them by their most well-known feature, but they often keep their eyes downcast in order to conceal it. So how then should you know that you're encountering a black-eyed kid? Specifically, their defining feature has no differentiation between the sclera, pupil, or iris of the eye, appearing as though the entirety of the eye is all black. They are reported to be between the ages of 6 and 16 and have pale skin, sometimes with a blue or purplish tint such as that of a corpse. And, of course, the black-eyed children only come out at night. From afar, they may appear as normal children. Sometimes they can be seen in groups playing games or singing songs like Old Man Longlegs or Wondrous Wise Man on playgrounds. However, they approach you only alone or in a pair, and encounters usually occur when the target is in their car or in their home, all alone. Wherever you are, it's likely you'll be minding your own business. Maybe you're relaxing in the living room of your home, reading a book or watching television, or maybe you're texting in a parking lot, and then all of a sudden you will hear a knock. When you go to investigate, you'll encounter a child or two who appear rather shy as they are looking down. However, they speak confidently in a monotone voice, asking if they can use your phone or your bathroom, or if you can offer them safe refuge from a lurking danger outside. But truly, the only thing you find yourself frightened of are the children themselves. Something in your instinct tells you they aren't quite right, they don't feel quite whole or quite human. Maybe it's the fact they don't sound like children. They speak with a calm tone despite claiming to be in need, and they have a vocabulary and elegance about the way they speak that is far beyond their years. They look like children, but they certainly aren't behaving like children. Or maybe they are. Kids are kind of creepy. But the more they talk, the bigger the knot in your stomach gets, and the more nervous you find yourself becoming. Yet at the same time, you find yourself asking, why not help? They're only children. There's surely nothing they can do to hurt me. Don't be fooled, though. Some claim the children have a low form of compulsion, a mind control they use to try and make you comply with their demands. Their pull on you has been broken. You lock the door and back away until eventually the sound stops, and they leave. You are safe. Unless you happen to be so unfortunate as to encounter them twice. It appears that as long as you don't let them inside, they cannot harm you, though there is no account of what occurs should you comply with them, possibly suggesting that those who have did not survive the encounter, and it is likely you wouldn't either. While it is most common for the children to approach you, and you alone, several sightings that have occurred in the UK contradict the black-eyed children's usual behavior. Cannock Chase is an area notorious for paranormal experiences and sightings located in Staffordshire, England. And back in September of 2014, British tabloid magazine The Daily Star reported 2 sightings of one black-eyed child, a girl who cried out in distress in order to lure in unsuspecting people walking through Cannock Chase. Both encounters say the girl appeared around 10 and would be found with her hands covering her eyes, but eventually she would lower them to reveal black pupils. Frightened, each person would look away, likely for an escape, but when they looked back, she would be gone. There have even been reports at the local pub within Cannock Chase of children being spotted multiple times in the downstairs bar, though it is unknown if these were black-eyed children or spirits of those already passed on. Search the web and you'll likely come across hundreds, if not thousands, of stories from people who claim to have encountered these children. And while many of these stories detail the terrifying experience of the victim, there is little to no investigation of the origin of the black-eyed children, so the question remains, what are they? The origin of the black-eyed children is still unknown, but the theories are numerous. And I hate to be the one to tell you this, but one encounter from a woman in Pennsylvania makes it very, very possible that it's not just children and that there is an entire race of these black-eyed people. A woman named Melissa S. wrote to Week in Weird about her experience as a child selling Girl Scout cookies around her neighborhood in Pennsylvania. She encountered an elderly couple being escorted into a house by a woman in her 30s. Melissa approached them, hoping to make a sale, but the elderly man and woman seemed more and more excited the closer and closer she got. And when she was nearly upon them, they were grinning ear to ear, and she saw their eyes were all black. The woman escorting them came over and pulled the couple away, apologizing to Melissa before all 3 disappeared into the house. After her experience, Melissa tried to find a logical explanation. Perhaps the couple suffered from some sort of ailment or disease, but her research turned up nothing that fit what she had encountered that day. Still, the possibility of an entire race of these creepy humanoid creatures doesn't explain what they are or what they want. Some believe they are a race of extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings that have somehow found their way onto our Earth or our plane of existence. Others think they are the souls of lost or murdered children. Then there are those who believe them to be some race of vampire children, as they seem to need to be invited along or into a home in order to actually harm you. Some people believe they are a form of demon, only using the guise of a human child to more easily lure in their victims. Possession has also been suggested, but not the sort of possession we might think of. This is a higher level of possession where an exorcism of the host does nothing to remove the spiritual parasite. It is not an attack, but an entire takeover of the host. Or maybe, perhaps, the black-eyed children are simply our modern version of a sign of impending doom, much like the black dog, merely harbingers of ill will. It is also possible that they are simply the product of the imagination of the internet age. There have been no official investigations by law enforcement of any encounters with black-eyed children, and as of right now, there is no credible amount of physical evidence that exists to corroborate the stories. And even with all the theories, we still don't know the answer to the most terrifying question of all, which is, what do the black-eyed children want from us? What is their purpose? Why do they need us to accomplish it? And it's hard to say, again, because no document exists detailing the encounter of someone who follows their orders, perhaps suggesting that they're not around to tell the tale anymore, if you know what I mean. And even Brian Bethel doesn't think that people are telling the truth when they say that they've encountered the black-eyed children, as he's not much of a believer himself. But regardless of what you choose to believe, Brian Bethel and any of those claiming to have encountered the black-eyed children probably prefer to never do it ever again. Thank you all for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot. And for those of you out there who are still curious and would like to read some black-eyed children encounters, I will be linking some things down in the description below to slake your curiosity. However, if you're looking for something a little different but still creepy, feel free to check out any of my other videos. Also, don't forget to subscribe because there's always more creepy on the way from me. Alright guys, I will see you in the next video, but until then, look for me in your nightmares. Good night.